Welcome back, everyone. It is FLP versus Method NA. This is an elimination series, so loser of this knocked out of the tournament. That will be all the points they will get heading into the circuit series. It's game number 1, FLP versus Method NA.
I like that FLP has matching hats. I like those hats. They look nice. Actually, Ron Paul, he's not wearing the hat. I feel like they would have a better shot if he was, in all honesty. But yeah, we can kind of talk about these blind picks. I feel like FLP's in a little bit of trouble. Method NA is quite good at Warrior Mage Paladin. And I think Warrior Mage Paladin is really good into FLP. But that being said, FLP had a little bit of a warm-up match against Hamsters and Hares earlier on, so maybe able to make a few adaptations in this match. We'll see what they can get done. Cerulean pushing for crowd control early on. Gets denied by the Infernal Stun into a Maim Stun. Not a bad start here for FLP, looking to get aggressive with their cooldowns early on. Brain forced to trade out his Avenging Wrath in order to heal through this initial pressure, but big Chaos Bolt still flying in. This is a great start here for FLP.
Yeah, big Chaos Bolts here. They're forcing out the Die by the Sword and the Trinket from Drake right there. They force out the Trinket from Brain as well. Brain in a fear here. Do they have anything to follow it up? Ron Paul now in a fear. Cerulean going for the Polymorph. He fake casts the counterspell. He lands the counterspell onto Zev. Here's the combustion. Big damage coming out here onto Nozom. And they get the follow-up Hammer of Justice. Can they stop the fear? Where's the Dragon's Breath, Cerulean? He doesn't get it. And he's going to get re-feared there on his combustion. You could have had something to stop that fear right there. Could have maybe even extended the chain there and forced out even more cooldowns, but still not a bad exchange there as well for Method NA. Now Brain here caught up in the Repentance here. Can they get anything out though is the question. To get the beautiful Mortal Call right there, but doesn't look like they're able to find too much pressure off the back of it. And now here comes Drake. Battle stance, sharpened blade. Here comes the spear as well on the port. Drake here definitely showing that it is God's plan here to kill this Warlock.
All right, let's see how much more Nazem can do to survive the incoming attacks of Method North America. They cannot afford to lose this series if they want to qualify, with Unitas making it through in the lower round. They're so close on points to qualify to the circuit play. It's in their hands. They need to find victory in this series, but they face the highest point earners, the best team in North America, to do it, to qualify. It's almost a bit cruel here for the Destruction Warlock Feral Druid Dream. Can they pull it off? Brain currently feared up. Cerulean in a bash. Double Mortal Coil. Good setup by Nazem here, trying to find a Chaos Bolt. Not able to. Drake actually Die by the Sword and Zev swap there. He's going to get Cycloned, and Die by the Sword actually out of the way for free. Brain is in a Repentance. Cerulean getting blasted. He wraps around the corner behind the pillar, catches a double Dragon's Breath into a Polymorph. Nazem now stunned up. Drake goes into battle stance. Spear of Bastion is down. Cerulean gets stunned up, but Zev gets reflected on his Cyclone. He's not going to be able to assist Nazem too much here. And actually, he's finally able to now maybe get some support with Nazem below half health. The Ron Paul pops Avenging Wrath. Gets feared on his Avenging Wrath. That's devastating. Zev gets polyed on his heel. Triple Ring of Frost! Ron Paul has to do something. Immediately trading his Trinket Sacrifice to redirect damage. However, the offensive Method NA looks solid in game 1.
Yeah, no question about it at this point. Ron Paul potentially getting swapped to a Stormbolt on that Blessing of, or the Ultimate Sacrifice will redirect a lot of that damage. 3 minutes into the match, both these healers kind of burning through cooldowns. I'd say Ron Paul burned through significantly more at this point. Drake all over Nazem, and we know if that Arms Warrior can stay on this Warlock for long enough, it's going to be absolutely devastating. Double Blinding Light coming in. Nazem on the run. Beautifully done there by Zev. That Vortex keeping Drake locked down, not allowing him to connect to Nazem. And that's the only reason why Nazem is still alive, but still forced to trade the unending resolve, even though Drake wasn't able to even touch him. Method NA definitely have really solid offense in this game, but I feel like Zev is just doing such a great job helping Nazem stay alive, and that's why their team is still in it.
Yeah, definitely. Zev has been playing a very, very clean game so far. And I got to say, Cerulean as well has been getting a lot of crowd control. He's been doing a lot of offensive plays here. And it's been very nice to see as well here. Brain might get Repentance there. Cerulean actually shuts it down with a nice blink Dragon's Breath Sheep. But Cerulean takes a big hit of damage right there. And he is going to be able to recover right now. He did stop that Repentance. And Ron Paul actually had to use his Divine Shield there. So Cerulean and Method NA coming out ahead on that exchange. Drake had to use his Trinket and his Rallying Cry there, though, to keep Cerulean in the fight, to keep him aggressive, but still a very nice trade. Here comes the Ring of Frost onto the Ron Paul. He gets interrupted, but he lands the polymorph. No way out here for the Ron Paul for a couple of seconds. Preemptive Blessing of Protection gets spell stolen here. Zev gets counterspell on the regrowth. Seralium is trying to fake cast the Warlock counterspell, not able to find it just yet, but still more cooldowns being forced here by Method and A, and they are just pressing the issue here, Sid.
Yeah, they certainly are in game number 1. They're so close. Ron Paul sitting through Polymorph's Dragon's Breath on 2 players. Drake charging in, reconnecting to Nazem. Ron Paul's going to have to make a choice here soon on that sacrifice. When is he going to pop it? Getting a proc here on his Avenging Wrath to stabilize. Drake stunning up Nazem, going into battle stance, trying to get some min-max pressure here. The Ron Paul repositions behind the pillar away from Seralium. Zev attacking Seralium at the moment, building up damage, but gets caught in a Dragon's Breath, Ring of Frost, very important to crowd control the Feral Druid. Zev actually trinkets out, but the Ron Paul is now in a repentance, and this could be devastating as Nazem tries to get to safety with the gateway, but Drake is blade storming, portals away from Drake. Drake moving in on the left here. Ron Paul still in a blinding light for 1 more second. Nazem Netherwards to try and stall and buy time. Will it be enough time here? Ron Paul's trying to power him back up to full health, but he doesn't have a lot of cooldowns to do it, and he has to sacrifice. It does still trade for the combustion, so at least he has that going for him. But now he's caught in a stun. They could swap. He's got no Divine Shield. He's going to pop Divine Protection and deny the swap entirely. Zev trying to support in desperation with Cyclones and Regross, managing to hold on for a little bit longer. They have Unending Resolve to make a trade in the future. Mana is even. They catch a Repentance. They fear Seralium. Double Mortal Coil. Good setup by Nazem here. Trying to find some damage, but no Chaos Bolts. I don't think Zev can solo Seralium here, even though Brain is in a Cyclone. Brain comes out and clutches even 1 heal. Now finding more damage. Trying to take out Seralium. Big Divine Favor heal from Brain. Doesn't actually stabilize Seralium. Still below half. Avenging Wrath, though, should likely, as it's active on both sides. The healing is going to be quite high for the Paladins at this point, dampening almost at 10% mana advantage to Method and A.
Yeah, at this point, Method and A, they are looking solid, but there is some pressure here for FLP at 10% dampening. But traditionally, in this matchup, dampening does not favor FLP. A lot of those Feral off-heals get reduced. The Warrior with high uptime on Nazem, it just becomes so difficult for Ron Paul to stabilize. 50% health, a full Polymorph lands. Is it going to be the Medallion? Does he have the healing to stay alive? Nazem right now using that Soul Shape in order to maneuver around the map. Drake does reconnect, though, and Nazem is kind of stuck by himself. Seralium getting in line of sight. Does he have the Fire Blast to actually take him down? Ron Paul gets out of crowd control. Unending Resolve trades from Nazem in order to stay alive. Cyclone now on Seralium. Hammer of Justice on Brain. And a potential Repentance here on Brain. But Drake actually drops the War Banner to deny that incoming crowd control. I think Seralium should be able to survive. And now, once again, it's going to be Nazem on the back foot. He's got no Unending Resolve. Ron Paul still has 10 seconds left before he can trade out that sacrifice. He should be able to get it off. So some defense available here for FLP, but actually Seralium forced to go back to the pillar. 2 Chaos Bolts land. Seralium kind of shrugs that off. Misses his Dragon's Breath, but still secures the full Polymorph. Double Mortal Coil comes in. Nazem actually getting a huge amount of damage on Drake. Brain manages to heal him up, but at what cost? I mean, he's low health. He's low mana, not many cooldowns left, and FLP is looking like if they can hold on just a little bit longer, they might be able to win this game.
Oh, if they can connect here, Drake doing what he can. He just needs to connect out of that root. But Zeb, once again, saving the day here. If you will. He gets a nice main stun here onto Brain. Nice Repentance to follow that up. Let's see, can he get some pressure here onto Seralium? Seralium still has his Ice Block. Drake has his Rallying Cry here as well. Drake on about 50% HP, taking a decent amount of damage. The Forge Minister is going to proc right there as well, get that AoE stun as Drake was brought to under 35% HP. Drake and Seralium both kind of pressured right now, and both of these Paladins mana bars not looking too great here. We got about 20-30% here on each, but look at Brain. He's sitting down for a drink right now in the starting area, able to recover a little bit. As he's sitting down drinking, the teammates are forcing the Divine Shield as well as that Hand of Sacrifice from the Ron Paul. He has nothing left to work with. Nice Dragon's Breath by Seralium here, trying to shut down the Dragon's Breath, and he's just on fire all of a sudden. Scarrise procs, needs to be extremely careful here. No real defense here. Big heal coming in here from Brain, and Nazem now all of a sudden taking the brunt of the damage. Big damage here from Drake, and he's trying to connect, he's trying to end the game here. He gets a DR Fear onto the Ron Paul, but it's not going to be enough. No, it is enough. They force out the C. lead, and they crack it. Drake just taking matters into his own hands there at the end. And that was such an overwhelming amount of damage there from the Feral Druid and from the Warrior there. They basically just soloed the Mage and the Warlock there. And yeah, it's Drake coming out ahead.
That was a really well played game. Method NA looking solid as usual on their Warrior Mage Paladin, and FLP are the team that are left kind of like, oh no, what do we do? Unitas are likely going to qualify if FLP can't win this series. So winning 3 games against Method NA, you've only got this comp, Destro, Feral, Holy Paladin. You have to find a way to make it work. They've tried to drag this game out into dampening. Their strategy was to get pressure on Mage and Warrior, run the Paladin out of mana, and just win one-on-ones. Like Nazem here is 1v1ing Drake. He's getting ahead. Zev is 1v1ing Ceralium. He's getting ahead. It's looking good. Like, hey, maybe we can do this. Maybe we can win the game. But Nazem's unending resolve, that red icon below his health, you see it, he really needs that right now. If he had that active this whole time, if he had it available, he would have reduced all that damage, but it wasn't available. Zev unable to hit that Ursul's Vortex on the port either during this time, and they're just going to proc the pod as a result. They're only a couple seconds away from those cooldowns, and they show potential in dampening when they can get those 1v1 setups between the Warrior and the Warlock and the Mage and the Feral. They're just like maybe a couple seconds away in most of these games that I've seen in the matchup.
Certainly said. Method NA going to be winning this series here, or this first game here, excuse me, at 30% dampening here. And this is kind of how it was predicting for you guys. You know, FLP, they're 3-person roster. They don't have really any other compositions besides this one. So I feel like from the beginning, this was going to be super difficult for them, especially considering who they're going up against here. It's Method NA on one of the best compositions right now and one of the best teams right now in this region here. So if FLP wants to make it into the top 8 for this region and head into the circuit, they're going to have a really, really hard time here. Method NA is an extremely strong competitor, but I wouldn't count these guys out yet. We've seen what they can do here in the past, and they have a few more chances to turn this one around. Best of 5 series, and this is a lower bracket series as well, but its time is running out for these guys, so loser of this one knocked out of the tournament. That's going to be the only points that they can hope to gain from this. So heading into game number 2, FLP, what do we want to see them maybe lock in terms of map choice on the side of FLP? Never mind, they're just going to spoil it for me. ASHAMANE'S will be the map we're going to go to. Really quick draft from both of these guys as well. Not really much surprise here. Method NA doesn't really move away from this composition if the series is going in their favor, and like I already said, FLP, this is kind of the comp that we're going to be expecting to see them play for the rest of their time here. But ASHAMANE'S Fall is going to be their map choice on the side of FLP. Then how can we expect them to use this map to their advantage?
It's just all about Nazem. Like, basically, the game comes down to how much time can Nazem avoid Drake. If it's a lot, if he can use these pillars, he can use Gateway to escape from Drake. That's going to allow FLP enough time to get crowd control and try to set up burst kills of their own. If he can't, if he can never get away, then he's constantly going to be on the back foot. So going to ASHAMANE'S Fall, it's just one of those things that FLP kind of has to do. They need to play a big map, because if their Warlock can't get away, he will inevitably get absolutely crushed by the Warrior and the Mage. So FLP, they need to do exactly what they have been doing. They need to find the crowd control. Nazem has to do a really good job kiting. There's a few close calls in that game. I mean, Ceralium, he had his cauterized proc, and he went down to like 10% health before he popped his Battle Masters or his Gladiator's emblem. If that just went a little bit more damage in favor of Zev, we could have had a different result in game number 1. And mana was relatively even, so super close game. FLP not making it easy, but it just seems like even though FLP, they get so close over and over and over, the Warrior Mage Paladin seems to always come out ahead against them, but still can't count them out. And let's see how they kind of diffuse this opener. Nazem likes to get really aggressive early on with his Infernals. Blink counterspell by Ceralium, really keeping them guessing. So now Nazem actually doesn't have his Demonic Gateway. Is he going to be able to get it off? He gets Blinding Lighted, so Method NA, all-out aggression early on, but it's actually Ceralium on the back foot. Zev getting really aggressive here. Nazem finally gets his Gateway, able to escape, but not a bad start whatsoever here for Method NA. But at the same time, Ceralium dipping dangerously low, eats one big Chaos Bolt, actually gets reflected on Nazem. That's got to feel bad. A second Chaos Bolt lands onto Ceralium, but Brain just able to power through with the heals, and it looks like Method NA will be able to hold on.
Very nice start here. Both of these teams basically going all out here, aggression, and it's actually going to be FLP who pulls ahead out in that start here. They get the gateway, they get the Trinket of Brain, and they get the Rallying Cry here from Drake, but it's not over yet. Full Ring of Frost onto the Ron Paul here. What are you going to do, Nazem? He's got the Blessing of Protection actually active right now, so Drake not able to do anything. Potentially could get Cyclone here if Zeb wants to. Doesn't look like he's going to go for it. Going for it now, waiting for Drake to actually connect on his Warlock before he goes for that Cyclone. The Ron Paul stuck in a Hammer of Justice. No crowd control though to follow it up here. And now the Ron Paul has an opportunity to go for maybe a Repentance here onto Brain. Looks like they might be setting it up. There it is. Maim into Repentance. He's going to get countered by the last second there by the Ceralium, but that means Nazem is going to be able to actually get a fear here. The Ron Paul not going to be fishing for any more Repentances just yet. He could go for a DR Hammer of Justice into a Repentance if he wants to. Zeb looking to get some Cyclones here, not able to find any just yet. Drake having full uptime right now, actually wastes his Heroic Leap right there, but a nice double blind is going to allow Drake to reconnect on his target here. Nazem forced to use his Trinket there on that Stormbolt. Zeb here once again just getting shut down during these setups, and that's something I really like that Ceralium is doing. He focuses his crowd control onto the Ron Paul, but he saves his interrupts for not Nazem, but for Zeb. Zeb, if he gets a single regrowth during a setup off or a single Cyclone, it's basically the end of the setup, so he needs to make sure that he can land a Polymorphs on the healer and save his interrupts for the second healer here.
We see Nazem still just focused on doing damage to Drake, and Zeb focused on doing damage to Ceralium, trying to create a two-pronged assault. However, now the Ron Paul is in a stun, and Nazem is getting focus fired. Where's the Ursul's Vortex? You see Zeb using Wild Charge to root Drake in place on Nazem's port, and it's the synergy between the Warlock and the Druid that's important. Zev needs to use those roots whenever Nazem wants to escape so that the warrior doesn't immediately reconnect. If he's able to combo that utility together with the Warlock, then Nazem will be able to buy time in this match, but it's quite difficult to pull off, and Nazem is getting blasted time and time again. I look at his health getting just completely erased. Zev's trying to build some momentum here on Ceralium, but Ceralium's going to alter time, and they have no way to really remove that unless the Fell Hunter gets really lucky, and I think that this means Ceralium will heal the full for free. He gets Mortal Coil at the end of it. Double Mortal Coil, nice setup, and Nazem's going to convene a Chaos Bolt with Zev onto Ceralium, blasting him down to half, fishing for interrupts on Shadow Fury, but Drake's in battle stance with a Warbreaker. Nazem portals away. Ron Paul's in a poly. How much longer can he survive here? Still very low. Zev going to stun Drake, but now he's Blinding Light. Triple Blinding Light. Nazem's in trouble. Ron Paul barely clutching out a heal there. Zev's trying to help out with Cyclones. He gets Spell Reflected on it. Ron Paul's still in a stun. Zev's spamming out Cyclones. And Drake is deciding not to Trinket, wanting to save that defensively, realizing maybe, we don't need to Trinket aggressively, just save this to stabilize and play a standard game. However, Ron Paul is actually slightly ahead on mana at this point.
Yep, and mana definitely going to be important at this point in the match. We haven't set foot into dampening yet, and we haven't really seen any opportunities in this particular match for either of these healers to sit down and drink. Just constant pressure on both sides. Maim now onto Brain, and a double Mortal Coil, but the Mortal Coil brings Ceralium out of line of sight, and Nazem not able to get off any damage. One Chaos Bolt going to be landing onto Drake as he turns his attention there. Immediate die by the sword to just try to reduce some of that incoming damage. The double stun coming in from Drake. That automatic stun going to be proccing and saving the day here on this warrior. And now, Nazem still in the open. Ceralium just trying to reset that combustion. He actually has it available. He gets interrupted on fire. If they can get crowd control on Ron Paul, I mean, look at Ron Paul's positioning right now. Just trying to stay away from Brain, trying to stay away from Ceralium the best he can, while tossing in heals on Nazem. FLP has excellent positioning here. Drake going to be moving backwards as they make a big setup onto Zev. Zev could get taken down. Barkskin Survival Instinct. That is a lot of damage reduction. There's no way he's going to go down here, but I like these attempts. Zev's going to overextend. We saw it in their matchup against Hamsters and Hares. He can definitely get dropped really, really quickly without those defensive cooldowns. So I like the fact that Method and A has kind of realized that, and now Zev might have to play a little bit more defensive.
Yeah, and Zeb's going to have to be careful. He still has his Trinket, though, so not in too much danger just yet. And we're going to see a double Shadow Fury here for Nazem. And Ceralium actually takes a big hit right there. Big ferocious bite there coming out from Zeb. Can tell the man is hungry here. Doesn't care if he has Barkskin or not. He's still going to keep overextending here. Kind of has to here. Try to build some pressure for his team. Going for the Cyclone. He gets Dragon's Breath on it. Nice Spell Reflect there. And Ceralium once again spell stealing that spell ward from the Warlock. And then reflecting the Chaos Bolts with it. Ceralium actually getting that Ring of Frost onto the Ron Paul. They have the pressure here. He spell steals the Nether Ward once again here. Big damage onto Nazem. What are you going to do here? Ron Paul saves the day, trinket and sacrifice there, and that's going to be enough to shut down that situation. And I really like what Zev is doing here with his Thorns as well, saving it for after the Kleptomania comes out on the Nether Ward, activating the Thorns, getting a lot of value there since it can't get the spell onto him. He's going to lose that HP very, very shortly here. Any seconds around him is going to be losing a lot of HP as well, and he is able to recover both of his teammates there. Excellently done there by Brain with that Avenging Wrath, able to recover from that situation with the Infernals there as well, but still not out of the woods yet. Drake on about 50%. He leaps in here. There comes the fear. Big swap here onto Zev. No trinket this time, but he does have the Bark Skin. Follow it up with the Stormbolt there onto the Ron Paul out of that intimidating shout. But I don't know how much I like that swap. If there's no Bark Skin, I can kind of see how that swap works. It's similar to what Hamsters and Hair did, but I would rather just see every single Combust right now committed onto Nazem, unless you're trying to literally end the game here. Brain in a Cyclone. Drake super low, activates the Die by the Sword, activates the Avatar, trying to get some counter pressure. Drake's just never ever letting go of that W key. He's going to hunt this Warlock down. Now Ceralium getting a Polymorph, gets interrupted on the Re though, not able to find the Ring of Frost and not able to find another Resheep, which means that Nazem is going to survive. And the Ron Paul has basically all his cooldowns rotating back up in about 15 seconds. So FLP, if there's ever a game they're going to win, this is the game. They have the mana lead. Ooh, Brain sitting up for a drink, and he does get stopped there by Zev, but they have the mana lead, they have the cooldown lead. So for FLP, it's time to get aggressive, it's time to push in, it's time to make sure that Brain doesn't drink, and it's time to try to end this match.
Oh, Kindred Spirits active here for Zev, trying to power down Ceralium. Blasting a ton of damage with Chaos Bolts as well. They're going to trigger the Cauterize. Nice push here from FLP. Definitely their best game so far in the series and showing potential to take out North America's finest Method NA. Can they pull it off? They're so close. They've got pressure on two characters at the moment with Brain and crowd control. Ceralium bashed up. Zev trying to hunt him down. He's going to Cyclone the Alter Time, potentially fish for interrupts, swap over to Drake and wait for Alter Time to be over. Get some bleeds up for Nazem. Nazem portals away, but Drake leaps over as we see Nazem use the gateway. Zev's trying to help out with Cyclones, gets Dragon's Breath. Cyclone on Ceralium. Zev just needs to heal Nazem as much as possible here. Still looking for more Cyclones with the Ron Paul into a stun. We see Immortal Coil by Nazem. They're setting up onto Drake with a stun. Where are the Chaos Bolts? They're looking for one Chaos Bolt. Can they get two Chaos Bolts? Only one. Not enough to take Nazem down. Stormbolt now onto Nazem. Drake goes into battle stance, trying to max out his damage here. Zev stops Brain from drinking and then gets right back onto Ceralium, building up those bleeds, waiting for that Kindred Spirits. Now, there is a combustion available. However, every target has a cooldown for it. They're going to pop it on Nazem and try and kill him outright. Ron Paul was ready for it, trading the sacrifice, and now Ceralium in trouble as Zev pops that Kindred Spirits, boosting his damage up quite a lot, swapping to Drake. Chaos Bolt getting casted by Nazem. One going to connect onto Drake, blasted down to half health. Managing to stabilize and recover now as we see the Ron Paul chasing Brain for a Hammer of Justice Repentance. They really need it. Oh no, Ron Paul gets intercepted by Ceralium and into a Polymorph. Zev's trying to help out. Double Mortal Coil. Chaos Bolt's getting blasted. Ursul's Vortex on Drake into a Cyclone while Nazem portals out of line of sight. Beautiful teamwork between Zev and Nazem right here. Brain is trying to sneak away from the fight and drink, but there's a Fell Hunter chasing him. Zev is also in on the hunt onto Brain, realizing mana is the advantage here. Cyclone onto Brain. Drake's in trouble. Caught in a Shadow Fury. The entire team of FLP hammering away at Drake, trying to take him down, but they just can't do enough damage. Another Cyclone by Zev into a stun. Zev's trying to control Brain as long as possible to close this out. Nazem's going to pop on any resolve, potentially get aggressive here with it as well. The Ron Paul is still in crowd control, trinketing out of the intimidating shout. I'd say they're pretty even at this point between the teams. Kindred Spirits active. Zev is just chomping away at Ceralium. Sacrifice has to trade for Brain. Brain has no mana. Mortal Coil onto the Warrior. FLP, if this is the game, they need to do it here. This is their best looking game so far.
Yeah, this is incredibly close. Drake's still incredibly low. Also, and Brain, he's got no mana left. There's no tools. FLP, they might be able to do it. They've got the momentum, but Nazem's still pretty vulnerable here. Hammer of Justice on Ron Paul. He's not going to be messing around at all. Immediate Divine Shield. If Ceralium can just get to that combustion, I think they can close out the game. Nazem gets interrupted. Can they take him down? Nazem just so low. He's not going to be able to kite Drake. It's at this point in dampening where things just unravel for FLP, but they still have pressure. Brain has not a single defensive cooldown. Ceralium might be forced into that ice block. It needs to be very careful, but he's got the combustion. If he just uses combustion, I think Nazem's going to fall over. Ron Paul has 3 seconds left on the sacrifice. Finally has a tool to survive, and FLP, they have the answers. They might be able to do it, put a point on the board against Method NA. This composition has been giving them so much trouble, but they got a fair shot here in this one. Thralium so dangerously low. The Spear of Bastion with the combustion. Massive damage, but Sacrifice trades immediately, and it is Thralium who gets turned into a seed. Can they take it down? It looks like they might be able to. Can they not take it down? He actually reses and then falls over immediately, but FLP, beautiful game by them. Normally at this point in damage, I mean, maybe they're just going for it. Ron Paul has got no mana. Nazem could fall. It's going to be up to Zev. He needs to throw in some heals. It looks like he does have those heals, and I don't think Drake's going to be able to take down Nazem with Zev and Ron Paul backing him up. What a game that was. FLP, you got to give them a lot of credit. This composition's been giving them so much trouble, but they do it against Method NA, one of the best, and now we got a tied series.
Incredibly well done by these guys. FLP, only one composition, only 3 players on their roster, and here they are tied up now in this series against Method NA, one of the strongest teams currently in this region, and this team is impressing me so much right now. They're able to secure a win in game number 2 against Method NA. We can break down how exactly that went down right here.
So, I mean, at this point, we got to commend FLP, of course, for all of their hard work, putting them in this situation. And it's this sacrifice here by Ron right there. He doesn't have Trinket. He doesn't have Divine Shield. If he doesn't sacrifice there, they lose the game. But there is one more thing I want to highlight here. This is to the inexperienced Night Fae players. Look at this seed right here. Your seed stays alive for about half a second or so after you die. And if the seed dies before it despawns, even if you res, you die. So the takeaway here, Thralium, is don't blink as soon as you res. You Dragon's Breath anybody hitting your seed, and then you blink. And if you did that, he actually would have resed right there as well, because the seed, it's a bit weird, but it stays on the ground for like a second after you actually res. And if you take it down, you die. So you can protect your own seed for that 1 second. So if he knew about that, he actually would have survived there and rezzed, and they could have potentially won the game.
I didn't know that. Yep. I'm an inexperienced Night Fae player, so I feel like I just...
It's okay, I didn't swap to Night Fae like most of these mages. I actually picked it on day 1 and stuck with it. The Winter Queen has had my allegiance since day 1, so these are just the things that you notice when you play twos with PS Hero.
You're not a poser Night Fae fan, is that what you're saying?
That's right.
Or a bandwagon Night Fae fan?
That's right. I'm not a fair... somebody said in the chat, there was a good term for it, a fair weather fan. That's right. I'm not a fair weather Fae. When we were talking about the coats and the wind earlier?
Yeah. I like that. Okay.
Does it count that I played Windwalker as a Night Fae? I picked that. That's one of the...
You abandoned
I feel like
it,
in PvP... I abandoned it for good reason.
You abandoned it.
For good reason. I had to, man. I had no choice, okay?
You were loyal to Ventir, man.
No. We've changed, okay?
It's okay. You know what? It's
I am a turncoat.
Zico's not letting the rookie back in the fold. He's outcast from now on.
It's too bad. My renown's 28. I'm in. You can't stop me now.
No, the Winter Army, we take anybody that we can get here, but we're looking for a little bit more loyalty than what you showed the Ventir Covenant there,
yeah.
Ben. That's all.
Didn't quite make the cut. Sorry, Ben. All right, well, game number 3 starting up soon here. It's 1-1 right now, best of 5. Winner of this game is going to put themselves on match point. It's FLP versus Method NA.
All right. Let's see here. 1-1, actually. So this is a series on our hands. And remember, Method NA is the #1 point earner in the region. If they lose this game, the ramifications that it could have on the entire standing here and who qualifies is going to be big. But more importantly, FLP here, if they lose, they will not be qualifying here for the round robin for the circuit. But if they somehow can take down Method NA, they can stay alive and they still have a chance at getting that qualification. So they are playing their hearts out right now, and it shows. And let's see if they can do it one more time here. They're going to need to do it another time, or 2 more times technically here. So this is where it all begins, the road to recovery, the road to the comeback. Let's see if they can pull it off here, Sid.
Yeah, they were able to in that last game, and they did it by just focusing on kiting and maximizing their damage. We saw Zev and Nazem both doing 1.1 million each, and they were able to utilize the portal and the druid root utility to avoid the warrior. So here's a portal, but Drake wasn't crowd controlled, so he is able to leap, although he is taking a lot of damage while trying to stay on target. And you can see FLP are not shy at all in this game, even early on, getting tons of pressure. Brain managing to recover the team there. Combustion is popped. Nazem trying to line aside it here, but not really able to. There's a polymorph on his healer in game number 3. Big heals coming in from Zev. Those regrowths very important for the early game, especially before dampening. They will likely top any target quite easily. So Australian going to need to maybe save a counterspell or some type of crowd control for Zev as well. Ring of Frost. Otherwise, Zev will be able to just heal through that. Brain and a Hammer of Justice. There's pressure on 2 targets here. Zev stuns up Ceralium. Roots up Drake, but Nazem can't really escape. He's actually just getting owned by Drake at the moment. Stuns him. Oh, big Chaos Bolt swap to Drake. Zev is just bouncing between the mage and the warrior, really making this a nightmare for Brain to figure out who is going to be the target. Vortex on the port, but Drake patiently saves the leap, gets out of the Vortex, and then leaps back on the target. Nazem is taking a beating. Ron Paul in a ring. Zev's trying to help out with Cyclone, cycloning the mage, trying to support, build up combo points here to get some heals. Tries to go for a Shadow Meld stun. Gets it on Drake into a Cyclone. Nazem gates out of the Spear of Bastion. Brain was actually drinking, I think, amidst all of that, trying to get mana, realizing, you know, his mana was the main problem. Nazem and Zev were doing so much damage. If Brain just has mana, I think Combustion is a lot scarier in dampening.
Yeah, well, you know, one thing we really haven't talked about is Method NA. They have just been winning everything. I mean, they won the entire thing last year in North America. I believe they've won all 3 cups as well. So they're on an absolute tear. And if FLP with this composition can somehow come back, it would be miraculous. But Nazem, you're forced to get the sacrifice from Ron Paul. This is Trinket Sacrifice, a beautiful setup there by Method NA, getting a lot of pressure out right now. And on this small map, it's going to be a lot more difficult for Nazem to escape and get away, and that really is the name of the game. Drag Drake away and then try to solo him down when you can as well. Even though it was Ceralium who went down in the last match, a lot of that came down to just a lot of pressure on Drake, burning through Brain's mana, forcing him to use cooldowns onto Drake. Nazem right now going to be positioning away. Ron Paul trying to avoid crowd control. He gets caught into a Hammer of Justice. Ceralium looking for a polymorph, manages to find it. Now it's going to be Nazem on the run. Beautiful Vortex once again by Zevs, really setting his team up, but Nazem in line of sight. Intimidating shout coming in. Ron Paul might have to trade more. He's got no sacrifice. Do they have the damage to take him down? Big heals coming in from Zev to save the day once again, but Nazem just so low. The Blessing of Protection should be enough from Ron Paul. FLP managed to hold on. Dark Soul available for Nazem as well, so they have an opportunity to turn around some pressure. They just need to find a good target here.
Yeah, and right now, Brain is looking like a good target for some crowd control. They get the Repentance out of the Maims down here. Let's see, they're going to go after Drake. Nazem gets reflected on his fear right there by Drake. Nicely done by him. He was going to get feared into those Chaos Bolts there. And, you know, the setups here are looking pretty good here. Ceralium, though, rips out the Combustion. Nazem taking a huge chunk of damage. Ron Paul stuck in a Blinding Light here. And he is going to be able to escape out of that Dagger's Dragon's Breath. And they get the Polymorph. They do secure it. Nazem gets counterspelled here. Zeb, where's the spam heals? Drake, where's the cross kick? Drake doesn't have the pummel, so Zeb can just free heal if he wants to here, but it looks like they won't even need it here. Nazem still getting pummeled here, still taking a lot of damage, and now finally Zeb gonna go out and drop a few regrowths. He actually got, I think, polyed right there, but it broke from Drake's Blade Storm, so Ceralium definitely controlling multiple members right now, doing a great job. There's the shifting power as well, resetting his counterspell with it, and then Blink counterspelling the Repentance of the Ron Paul. Ceralium definitely doing a great job so far in the series, and once again here going for another polymorph here potentially. Ron Paul ducks around the corner though. Braun is now summoned into the fight here. You can tell a lot of these Kyrians here are definitely getting a little bit of extra added value from that Braun, and if they can get another setup here onto the Ron Paul, it could be big cooldowns here from Nazem, but once again they get the Storm Bolt, but it doesn't look like they have any crowd control onto the Ron Paul to pair it up with, and now it's going to be Ceralium or Drake potentially here that are going to be in trouble, Sid.
Nice gateway on the Spear Bastion by Nazem, trying to escape now with the Soul Shape. Zev moving into line of sight to help out as well. Drake's not going to chase. He's rooted up, getting dotted as well. Double Fear here, initiated by Drake. Zev chooses to use Medallion, try and spam Cyclones and get interrupts out of the way, but the Ron Paul's already in a Polymorph. Nazem Mortal Coils into a Cyclone, trying to portal away from the Warrior, but he portals out of line of sight of heals of Zev. Zev is trying to get back to his side here. He's critically low. Are they going to trade the sacrifice? It's a quick decision that needs to be made, and Ron Paul makes it, sacrificing, but now not having that out means that Ceruleum's next combustion is going to be very threatening. There's a lot of redirected damage on the Ron Paul as well. He's counterspelled. They could swap to him, and they drop him. It doesn't look like they have enough damage to do it. Brain now in a fear. Zev and Nazem trying to get pressure. Repentance snuck in onto Brain. Chaos Bolts blasting Ceruleum. Trying to find another. Huge Ferocious Bite. Drake getting blasted. Swap over to the Warrior. Trying to find damage there as well. But Brain has Avenging Wrath. His healing is quite high. They're going to call in Infernals despite that and try and keep the momentum going. Maybe Brain wants to try and escape for a drink, but that Spear of Bastion hit 2 players. Double Blade Storm, double Warbreaker. Drake is tearing in right now. That's going to be a lot of damage that the Ron Paul's going to have to spend mana on. Zev smartly makes the trade, but now reflected on a clone. Nazem's getting hit hard. Ron Paul's trying to heal through it with just the Avenging Wrath. They don't want to use Unending Resolve here. Otherwise, that combustion is going to be even more so lethal. Zev's swapping over to Ceruleum. Doesn't want to get Sweeping Strikes too much here. Stuns onto Ceruleum, stuns onto Brain, into a full Cyclone. No, gets counterspelled 1 second too late. And now the Ron Paul actually wasn't able to get a drink. Ceruleum getting bit away by Zev. Zev looking to stay on target, but Drake is not really having a great time. Maybe actually Nazem is getting ahead in the 1v1. Goes for a Shadow Fury, trying to find a Chaos Bolt. Gonna blast Drake with it. Brain's Avenging Wrath now proc. Brain's charging in. Nazem tries to portal Nether wards the combustion, trying to prevent damage, but the trade's Unending Resolve, and I really like this trade just at high health. Unending Resolve is a tough cooldown to use, because if you use it too low, sometimes you just die through it. If you don't use it high enough, you die through it, so just making the call there. But even despite that, they've crowd controlled him even through his Unending Resolve. The Ron Paul is still in crowd control at this point, and Zev's trying to help, but now he's counterspelled on an off heal. Drake gets Cyclone, Nazem recovers, blasting Chaos Bolts now at Ceruleum. Sharpened Blade actually at low health. The Ron Paul's trying to drink, and Drake hits him with a heroic throw, denying the drink. Ron Paul trying to just posture up, get his team back to full health, getting ready for the next combustion. They'll have sacrifice for it. They're going to stun up Brain. They're trying to get aggressive. Ceruleum in a fear. Zev looking for Cyclone. Gets intercepted by Drake and shut down. Nazem portals away. Drake leaps on top. Drake gets bashed on his Stormbolt. Good peel here by Zev. They need to try and heal up Nazem. Regrowth's coming in to help out. Trying to buy time and save Ron Paul's mana because he's actually behind at this point.
Yeah, one critical difference in this game is Brain actually managed to sneak away and drink. He recovered about 30% of his mana before Zev was able to shut it down. So Method NA kind of playing it a little bit more calculated this time, realizing they probably lost that last game just because there was no gas left in the tank. So I think if Brain can recover, he can sneak away and get a drink at any point in the game. Will be super beneficial to them. Ron Paul at the same time also trying to recover his mana. 22% dampening. Things getting increasingly dicey for both these teams. Nazem getting low. He gets interrupted. Not going to be able to portal away just yet. Ceruleum uses the combustion. He's also standing on top of the portal, the demonic circle. So if Nazem does portal, he's still in a prime position to blast him with his combustion. But looks like with no crowd control on Ron Paul, he's easily healing through the damage with his Avenging Wrath. And now it's actually Method NA on the back foot, as it was Brain who sat down for a drink. He recovered mana, but now he has to recover everyone's hit points. And if Method NA can recover, they're going to be looking really good here with all these drinks Brain is getting.
Yeah, a perfect time to drink as we have entered 25% dampening here. But like you mentioned, Brain has his work cut out for him here. The Ron Paul, though, as well, needs to be very careful right now. He's stuck in a Ring of Frost. Nazem might actually just go down here. There's a full Hammer of Justice, follow it up. Ron Paul trinketing out with his human ratio and trading the sacrifice here, but his mana not looking great already here. He's looking to counter pressure now, going for the Repentance, but he's taking so much damage from that sacrifice dot. Needs to be extremely careful right now. And there it is, the Spear of Bastion, but Nazem actually able to get away there. Full counterspell snuck in here onto the Ron Paul. Zev might need to throw out a few heals here. He's looking for it, but he gets Dragon's Breath into a Polymorph. Full fear onto the Ron Paul. Where's the Ring of Frost? He swaps the Polymorph right now to the Ron Paul. Ceruleum doing an excellent job here. Going for the Resheep as well. Gets the maim stun on it by Zev. Nice shutdown. Big damage here onto Zev, and Drake going to trade out the Intervene right there just to make sure that Ceruleum doesn't take too much damage here. Stormbolt now onto Nazem, and at this point you just need to do damage to Nazem, and you'll basically win the game here if you are on Method NA. The Ron Paul's mana ever so low here, Sid.
Attack, attack, attack. Nazem, Blessing of Protection. Can they strip it off? Ceruleum's in a clone. Drake's in a fear. They're trying to stall as long as they can, but I'm not sure how much longer they can. Brain is just so far ahead on mana at this point. Ceruleum has Combustion available. If it connects any amount of damage during this Combustion, I think it's game over. Brain's in a fear. Ceruleum's getting ready, and we can see Nazem trying to counter Assault. Cataclysm to get Immolate up, but he's just so dangerous low. Combustion gets popped. Ron Paul tries to power through, but he's caught into a Blinding Light. He Divine Shields immediately to try and heal the damage, but it's so immense at 35% dampening. Not even the off heals, I think, will save him. The Ron Paul powers through that. He spent all of his remaining mana to keep Nazem alive, to try and keep the dream, the FLP dream, going here against Method NA, North America's top point earner. How much longer can they stay in the fight? Drake is in the Cyclone at low health. Ceruleum is now getting blasted, and they survived the Combustion. They actually completely restabilized throughout the Combustion, but there's still a lot of cooldowns to work through, and now they're getting chopped up again. Nazem Soul Shapes, Drake leaps in, pummeling the fear, and closing this game out, triggering the pod with a full poly. Trinket sack on the pod? No, it's 1 second away. Sacrifice was 1 second away, but a valiant fight nonetheless. Method NA moved to match point.
When we see that replay, we're going to see some hero plays from Zev to extend that situation. He gets the Maim stun on Drake. He gets the Bash stun on Ceruleum into a full Cyclone. Heal's coming out. He just did such a good job keeping Nazem alive in that match, but ultimately not enough. Method NA with their consistency, and honestly, a lot of that comes down to Brain also sneaking away and just playing it a little bit more methodically, covering his mana, realizing that's probably why they lost game number 2, just running out of gas. But we can see here some of the peels coming in from Zev. The Maim stun on Drake. Nazem's still incredibly low. Ron Paul really doesn't have too much left, but just helping avoid some of this incoming damage, really important. He gets the kick into a Bash, into a Cyclone. Just kind of wanted to, highlight these plays. Now a Cyclone over onto Drake, and Nazem manages to survive. But at this point, it's kind of too little too late. Dampening's too high. Nazem really can't get away. He manages the Soul Shape, but when he gets interrupted on his fear, he can no longer portal back. A little bit of a mistake there, because if he had portal back, maybe he could have survived. Probably not, but just such a close game.
It was a really close game. I mean, that could have gone to FLP so easily, and we would have had an interesting series on our hands for sure. But Method NA going to be winning that game, and they are going to be on match point here. So looking pretty solid for them right now. But, I mean, this is much, much closer than I feel like anyone would have predicted, Zico.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a game that, to be honest, I was kind of going to write these guys off a little bit on the FLP side. And, I thought it was going to be pretty close, kind of damp games, but ultimately they would always go in favor of Method NA. But they were able to take the win in that previous game on the larger map. Now we're going to probably go to another larger map, and that game on the hook point didn't look too bad. So, I think we're going to go somewhere like the Sands of Tolvir, or, okay, never mind, we're going to go to Tiger's Peak. And, that's a great map for FLP. If they can take the win here, probably go somewhere smaller, and I would still say Method NA are favored, but they definitely could win there.
I'm noticing a trend here that FLP pick maps that have tigers or cats in them. They picked ASHAMANE'S Fall with a tiger statue. They picked Tiger's Peak with tiger in the name.
That's true.
Do you think it's a coincidence? Do you think it's a coincidence? Is it just a mere coincidence?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not a conspiracy, Sid.
The Feral team picking all the cat
those
maps.
are just medium-sized maps that are pretty good for warlocks and portals and gateways, but
Whatever you say.
I have this weird conspiracy. I think FLP, they keep picking maps that are good for them. It's really weird.
They just happen to also have cat statues.
yeah. True.
Yeah. All right,
to know.
well, gonna be heading to Tiger's Peak, another map with a cat in it. And we're going to see if they can turn this one around. FLP has been so close a number of times, so they may be able to tie it up here in game number 4 and bring it to a game 5. Or is Method NA going to send these guys out of the tournament? It's game number 4. Method NA versus FLP.
Is there actually any other maps that have a cat on them? Like, is there a cat somewhere in Mugambala, maybe?
I don't
There
think
could
so.
be.
It's dinosaurs.
Yeah, I know there's dinosaurs.
Cats are
but-
dinosaurs.
It's like a prehistoric
Okay,
cat.
everything is a dinosaur if we want to go that far back.
Okay.
Cats are dinosaurs.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it matters too much here for them, but yeah, just a nice, interesting anecdote. But regardless, if we're even going to make it to another map here, FLP, you're going to need to somehow win against Method NA, and Method NA are just looking like a team that's on fire right now. Let's see how this opener happens. Last time around, it was very, very aggressive opener from both of these teams, and it was FLP actually that pulled ahead. So let's see if they can get that similar kind of opener. They get one Chaos Bolt onto Drake. He drops quite low actually, and nothing too crazy yet though. And Infernal, actually no, it's just an Infernal that procs right there into another Shadow Fury Chaos Bolt here. Zev is going to target Drake a little bit as well, and Ceralium now playing aggressively, getting a polymorph here onto the Ron Paul. Let's see if they can follow it up with anything else. There's a Hammer of Justice. Can Drake make his way over onto Nosem? That Ursul's Vortex, very, very annoying. And a Fear onto Ceralium is going to break up the CC chain a little bit. Now Drake is in a Cyclone, and the Ron Paul is in a DR Sheep. So, first it was Ceralium that could connect, but then he got feared, and then it was Drake that could connect, but he got Cyclone. So definitely good defense here, kind of disrupting that CC chain and keeping the Ron Paul from using his trinket there. Ceralium is now mounted up on his kitty, but Drake actually takes a big chunk of damage and gonna have to overlap his trinket die by the sword with Brain's trinket sacrifice. So yeah, a pretty good opener for FLP.
Remember, if FLP lose this series, they're not going to qualify to the circuit. So the fact that this game is looking this good for them is very important. They need to win this series. Portaling away from the leap is a nice play, but Drake is able to reconnect here, and Nosem is critically low, interrupted. He can't trade! Oh no! The seed procs Dragon's Breath on the trigger. The sacrifice of the pod means that the pod, it will survive. It's immune to damage. They're trying to redirect that damage into the Ron Paul, though, and at least get a Divine Shield from him in that Hammer of Justice. I think they might be able to. Actually, unbelievable that he doesn't. That's actually unbelievable he doesn't have the Divine Shield. The pod survives. The sacrifice saves it. And, I mean, that was tournament lives. That was circuit lives on the line.
Yeah, you're definitely happy you're Night Fae in that situation, that's for sure. The sacrifice comes in. They try to capitalize on it. Ron Paul says, no way, you're getting that as well, and holds on in defiance, but still has that cooldown now. Brain's going to be sitting down for a drink, recovers his mana entirely. Oh no, that's a disaster. Uh-oh, Repentance on Brain. Ceralium getting stunned up, taking a little bit of damage. As it looks like they will reconnect now onto Nosem. Cyclone coming in from Zevs. Great peels once again, looking for a Cyclone potentially here on Brain. No, just going for damage as a Fear does land, but Ceralium out of line of sight. Should be A-okay, maybe even finding a polymorph here on Ron Paul. Ron Paul doing a great job with his positioning. It's a game of cat and mouse with Ceralium and Ron Paul, but Brain intercepts with a blinding light. Potential full Ring of Frost. It gets interrupted. A full polymorph lands. Now Nosem in so much trouble, but Ron Paul, remember, he held on to that Divine Shield, so that is available if he needs it. Drake taking a huge hit of damage in the meantime as well. It looks like the crowd control should end. Nosem still just running with that Soul Shape, really doing a good job kiting Drake here. Zev backing him up with an Entangling Root. FLP on the back foot. They need to be careful. Ron Paul, he has no sacrifice at the moment, but still a lot of cooldowns they can work with. Ore Mastery is going to trade out here for Nosem. Big Chaos Bolt potentially lands. 1 on Drake, 2 on Drake. Can they get him any lower? Brain in a prime position right now to avoid crowd control and top off his team as both teams semi-stabilize, although Ceralium takes a huge hit. Alter Time bounces them back to full, and he recovers.
Nicely done there by Ceralium. Blink Dragon's Breath shuts down the Repentance there that Ron Paul was going for. Ceralium getting Cyclone here. The Infernals have been called in by Nosem. Let's see who the target of choice is going to be. It looks like Ceralium is going to be the target here. Drake getting feared up into a Chaos Bolt. So we got this similar situation here. The Warlock versus the Warrior, 1v1. The Feral versus the Mage, and another 1v1. And then both Paladins here just trying to get ahead of each other. So I think the Ron Paul, that is I was just about to say, I think the Ron Paul has his sacrifice back, but that was a big one shot right there. That wasn't even the combustion, or like what happened?
Pretty sure that was the combustion.
No, he popped combustion after he died.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna see. Method NA being in the lower bracket is definitely a disappointment for any team going up against them. These guys look absolutely unstoppable, and I mean, obviously this isn't the case, but I almost wonder if they just throw in the upper bracket just so they can go to the lower bracket and like test what it's like for them, backs against the wall. But we can see what happens here with Zev at this point in the game.
Trinket, no skin.
At this point of the game, we just take a look. There's no sacrifice for Ron Paul. Nazem, he's got every cooldown. So they've been going after Nazem primarily in this game, but they realize, you know what? Zev, he is a very susceptible target here. There is no combustion available for Ceruleum just yet. I'm not sure if he's able to fully reset it before they go after Zev, but I like the fact that they really capitalize on Zev with no bark skin and no trinket. Obviously weren't expecting it. The Dragon's Breath, Rune of Power, Meteor drops down, and Zev just gets absolutely obliterated without combustion. So surprising amounts of damage coming in, but Method NA just really capitalizing on it, and that's what makes them pros.
Most definitely, Ben. We're going to see them return on